welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Bex, I'm mum to Finley, he's 1, and I make videos about parenting, lifestyle and motherhood after infertility. I upload twice a week, and on Monday I do Mum Hack Mondays. So if you like those sorts of videos, then please hit subscribe and the bell so you know when my videos go up. So today I'm doing a video about 5 books that really helped me when I was struggling with infertility. This is a bit of an impromptu vlog. I wasn't anticipating filming today, but and I hope Jules FURNESS won't mind me mentioning her, but she really inspired me to do this vlog today. If you don't know Jules FURNESS, I'll put her channel below and go and check her out. She has a little boy called Josh with her husband Steve, who they adopted, and they want to have a sibling for Josh, and so are going through IVF at the moment. I think this is a really important video to watch even if you're not struggling with infertility, because 1 in 8 people in the UK do struggle with infertility, so the odds are you will know someone who is silently struggling on this path, and just understanding a little bit more about what they are going through will help you to support them and to be a better friend or family member. So, first book on my list is this book by Anne-Marie Scully. It's called Motherhood Wounds. Sometimes the covers catch the light and can be a bit shiny, so I don't know if I'm getting this on camera well enough. But if you just get one book out of this pile of 5 books that I'm recommending, this is the one you want to get. I'll read the blurb on the back and then you'll see why. So it says, born in 1981, shortly after the first IVF baby, Anne-Marie Scully grew up in a world where infertility is a problem everyone assumes can be fixed. Named for the frustration Anne-Marie felt when realising becoming a mother was not a given and IVF was not a guaranteed plan B, Motherhood Wounds documents the pain and the shame of life as an infertile woman. With heartbreaking honesty, Anne-Marie takes us on a journey from her initial optimism and excitement at finally trying for a baby and fulfilling her lifelong dream to become a mother, through her increasingly complex pregnancy plan, her experiments with holistic therapies, the NAPRO programme, and finally her experience with ICSI and IVF. Sometimes sad, sometimes laugh out loud funny, Motherhood Wounds offers both couples going through infertility and their support networks coping skills for how to survive this lonely journey that affect 1 in 6 couples. So I bought this book when I had been struggling with infertility for a while and just after my miscarriage with baby Bean. And the reason why I think it's so good is, 1, although it's a short book, it's gripping to read and it's searingly honest. This is exactly what it's like to be inside the mind of a woman struggling with infertility. You can't get more raw and honest and identifiable than this book. As you can see, it's been marked and I've gone through and highlighted certain sections when I was reading it myself. I did go to counselling after I had my miscarriage, and I used this book at times to help me to articulate how I was feeling. So I'll just read you a couple of sections that I completely just identify with, and if you were struggling with infertility, you will probably identify with too. Christmas was a similar story, with signs on every house except ours directing Santa to stop. On Christmas Day every year, our road would be filled with excited children learning to ride their new bikes or scooters, building snowmen if it happened to be a white one. It was hard looking out at them, not knowing if Santa would ever visit our house. I won't read too much of this, I just think you definitely need to go and buy it and read it for yourself. But another particularly poignant section in the book is here. Reading celebrity gossip magazines had always been a guilty pleasure of mine, but soon I couldn't do that either. Every day there was another celebrity pictured with a perfect baby bump, looking as though she didn't have a care in the world. I could spot a pregnant woman a mile away even if she hadn't told anyone and wasn't yet showing. I even figured out one of my closest friends was pregnant before she had taken a test. To me, there is just a look about them. I wouldn't exactly call it a glow, but something definitely changes in their faces. I have always been an open person, and prior to all of this, my way of coping with a problem was to usually talk it over with a good friend. When my close friends started to fall pregnant, I felt I couldn't really rely on them for support anymore. They were so happy and excited, and it just didn't feel right for me to bring them down by reminding them of how miserable I was. There was also the fact that they didn't really understand what I was going through, however hard they tried. While I did still have a couple of friends who were not yet at the baby making stage, that posed its own problems. Some of them were not in relationships, didn't have jobs they liked, or were not fulfilled in their own lives for whatever reasons. Many of them just felt I had so much to be grateful for compared to them, and that I should just pull myself together and realise how lucky I was. Out of fear of those friends thinking I was some sort of selfish brat who wanted to have it all and upsetting the ones who did have babies, I slowly started to withdraw from people. So in addition to feeling the loss of the babies I had dreamed of, I also felt the loss of my friends who I had previously shared everything with, increasing my isolation. Even if there doesn't seem to be much light at the end of the tunnel and you are exhausted, this book will probably help you because it's somebody else who identifies exactly what you were going through. So yeah, I can't recommend this book highly enough. The second book on my list is this book. It starts with The Egg by Rebecca Fett. What I think is really good about this book is it's split into 3 parts. One part looks at how you improve egg quality, the other part looks at how you improve sperm quality, and then the third part of the book is like a plan for you to follow. What I also like about this book is it's very scientific, but it's also written in a way that's easy to understand. When you are struggling with infertility, you suddenly have to get to grips with so many new technical, scientific and medical words and concepts that it can be a bit dizzying. But I'll read you the blurb on the back. The latest scientific research is changing the way we think about fertility. Egg quality is emerging as the single most important cause of age-related infertility, recurrent miscarriage and failed IVF cycles. Poor egg quality is also a common obstacle for women with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, and unexplained infertility. Whether you are trying to conceive naturally or through IVF, the quality of your eggs will have a powerful impact on how long it takes you to get pregnant and whether you face an increased risk of miscarriage. I would say what I took from this book was that BPA is something that you definitely need to watch out for, so reducing your exposure to plastic is very important, and it's very pertinent now, I think, anyway, because most people are trying to reduce the amount of plastic that they come into contact with or use. So there's a whole of the first section is on understanding egg quality, the dangers of BPA, phthalates and other toxins, and unexpected obstacles to fertility. Then part 2 looks at how to choose the right supplements. And so the other thing that I got from this book was using CoQ10. There's 2 forms of CoQ10. There's ubiquinone, which is in most of your standard CoQ10 supplements, and it's like the cheaper version of CoQ10 and isn't really worth buying. And then there's ubiquinol, which is the more easily absorbed and broken down version of CoQ10 and is a lot more pricey. Me and my husband did do the plan in the back of the book for 3 months leading up to what would have been our IVF cycle. We both took the decision to do the plan because we felt that we just wanted to do whatever we could in the 3 months leading up to the IVF cycle to give us the best possible chance. And we felt that it was giving us some element of control back by just doing whatever we could ourselves while we were waiting for the 3 months to pass. I haven't really done my infertility story yet, and that's something that I will do. I just feel like it's not quite the right time yet to do it. It also goes into diet and nutrition, things that affect sperm quality, and then, like I said, at the back there's how to put the science into practice with this plan. I can't claim that any of the things that I'm recommending in these scientific books helped. I don't know what it was that actually helped us to get pregnant, whether it was one thing or a combination of all the things that we did. But reading these books and doing the things they suggested gave me the element of control that made me feel better for my mental health, really. So yeah, I can't recommend that highly enough either. The third book on my list is what is often known in trying to conceive communities as the Bible. I won't go into too much detail on this because I feel that if you've come across this video, you probably know about this book already. But if anything, I think that means if you haven't got it already, you need to get it. For anyone who's struggling with repeated IVF failures or unexplained infertility, or if you have an autoimmune condition or you suspect you do, then this book is highly, highly useful in trying to get to the bottom of the complicated scientific aspects of infertility. Dr. Alan Beer was a specialist in Chicago. In America, there is a centre dedicated to him and his research in Chicago. And if you have any autoimmune testing, your blood work is usually sent off to Chicago for it to be analysed. Dr. Alan Beer's work is seen to be quite controversial, although having said that, a lot of what he says does make sense. There isn't much that isn't already covered in this book, whether it's to do with PCOS, whether it's to do with natural killer cells, overactive immune systems, whether it's to do with genetic issues, for example the DQ alpha gene. Yeah, I'm not going to say too much about this because I feel like most people will already know about this book, but I would say if you haven't got it already and you are struggling, then see if you can get a copy secondhand on Amazon Marketplace. My fourth book on the list is Eat Yourself Pregnant by Zita West. Although Zita West seems to be again a bit of a controversial figure within the fertility world, just to do with the cost of IVF at a clinic that she works with, I do think there has to be a lot to be said for trying to make sure that whatever you're eating when you're trying to conceive, it has to have some positive effect somewhere along the line. I think the recipes in here are easy to make, and again, even if I can't lay claim to this book being the reason why I got pregnant, I do think it just gave me that feeling of control, which is so lacking when you're struggling with infertility. If I felt I could control the situation by eating more healthily and making sure that I was putting things into my body that could only be good, then I felt a little less ashamed of the fact that my body wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I really enjoyed the quinoa and feta burgers with tomato relish. There's all sorts of recipes in here. They have snacks and breakfast ideas. So there's an overnight muesli. I really liked the protein boost seeded granola. There's some nice dips, for example roasted aubergine and mint dip. And then there are some sweet treats as well, so for example courgette chocolate brownies or superfood truffles. What I also like about the book is it gives you the science behind the recipes as well, so why certain ingredients are included in the recipes. It also looks at things that will improve the structure and quality of the sperm. And I find that a lot of fertility books also make the mistake of assuming that it's the woman that has a problem, if you want to put it in blunt terms like that, which isn't always the case. Quite often it's the case of it being a combination of poor egg quality and poor sperm quality. And so I think if you were wanting to try and do something constructive yourself, then it takes both of you to do that. The last book on my list is, again, probably one that you may have already seen before, but that's Taking Charge of Your Fertility. I think this is a good book if you're at the beginning of your sort of journey with trying to conceive, or if you have cycles, for example, say if you have PCOS, that are difficult to sort of understand. What's good about this book is it goes into real in-depth discussion of your body's cycles, really, what to look out for, how to know what the signs are when ovulation's imminent. It's a good reference book as well to refer to if you're struggling with anything to do with just your cycle and trying to get to grips with it. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Hope this video has been helpful. Please like it or share it with someone if you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!